Hello all. Previous class we had discussed about some of the characterization techniques used for powder metallurgy. Today's class we will be discussing about powder shaping techniques, sintering and other related topics of powder metallurgy. So today's first topic is interparticle friction and powder flow. Friction between particles affects the ability of a powder to flow readily into a volume. So generally, this kind of phenomenon is related where intricate parts are there, where hollow components, hollow molds are there, which are to be filled completely by the particles. So whenever interparticle friction is there, sometimes intricate parts are hard to fill. A common test of interparticle friction is the angle of response, which is the angle formed by a pile of powders as they are poured from a narrow funnel, which can be seen here in this diagram. So above a particular funnel will be there, a pre-weighed amount of uh, uh, particle powder, metallic powder is taken and poured into a funnel that will be piled up on a particular surface below the funnel. It creates a particular angle which is denoted as angle of response. Smaller particle sizes generally show greater friction and steeper angles. So the angle will be high for smaller particles. Spherical shapes have the lowest interparticle friction as shape deviates from the spherical friction between particles tends to increase. So basically the area of contact pertains to the increase or reduction in the friction between the particles. So if the area of contact is high, friction will be high. If the area of contact is less, friction will be correspondingly less. So spherical components possess lower friction because of a lesser area of contact. Irregularly shaped and coarse grit powder have higher friction because they have higher area of contact. So large angles indicate greater interparticle friction. The next topic is compressionability, or can also be referred as compressibility of a powder. Compressibility is used to describe the extent to which a mass of powder can be densified by the application of pressure alone. Compressibility of a powder is a major factor in design, um, a part density attainable, and the size of the press needed to compact to that density. Compression ratio, a related term, is the ratio of the final pressed density to the apparent density of the powder. The ratio determines the depth of the die cavity required to hold all powder needed to meet the specified part density. Powders of high apparent density are preferred because tooling can be made shorter and thus stronger. The compressibility of powder is influenced by several factors. One is inherent hardness of the metal or alloy. So the powder particles undergo considerable deformation during process of pressing, and hence their work hardening characteristic has a strong influence on compressibility. Next one is particle shape. The more irregular the powder, lower is its compressibility. More the spherical particles, more compressibility can be attained. Next one is internal porosity. Fine internal porosity in the powder tends to become isolated during pressing. This traps air within the particles. Although air is highly compressible, it lacks up the volume and contributes to low weight. Non-porous powders have the highest compressibility. Next one is particle size distribution. Powders of a uniform size exhibit relatively poor compressibility. Mixtures of sizes designed to occupy the most space have better compressibility. Next one is presence of non-metallics. Non-metallics such as unreduced oxides, which are produced while production of the powders itself, other impurities like in mechanical grinding process, the powder produced by the grinder surface wear itself, so also possesses a threat of problem in compressibility. These oxides reduce compressibility because of their hardness and low specific gravity. Next one is use of a solid lubricant. Lubricants are used in powder metallurgy so that particular compaction of the powder should takes place without yeah, keeping the gaps or interlocking of the particles. If particles gets interlocked without filling the cavity completely, the produced component will be discarded or of not particular standards or dimensions. So in this context, lubrication is necessary for certain powders, and it also reduces friction between the mold walls and particulates also, which will also help to produce a particular shape and size with high surface finish. Lubricants add to aid of pressing of metal powder, affect compressibility because of their low density and high volume they occupy. So whatever space left out between the particles is filled by the lubricants itself. So in that case, compressibility is less. Next topic in powder metallurgy is powder shaping techniques. So now onwards we will discuss some of the various powder shaping techniques. In that, first one for today's topic is isostatic pressing. There are mainly two kinds, that is cold isostatic pressing as well as hot isostatic pressing. So both have their own advantages as well as disadvantages. So because of a particular application, particular powder to be compacted, particular component to be produced, we will be deciding upon whether cold or hot isostatic pressing should be considered. So in cold isostatic pressing, the powdered material is contained in a tightly sealed flexible mold subjected to uniform pressures. The pressures can vary from 60 to 600 megapascals. This pressure is applied simultaneously from all sides. Because of this only it is referred as isostatic pressing, where uniform pressure can be applied throughout a particular component, thereby achieving uniform density and strength. After pressing, the compact is removed from the chamber. The pressure transmitting medium used is in certain cases liquid like water or oil, or in certain cases mixtures of oil and other additives. The powder is loaded into a shaped flexible envelope for the production of desirable shape of the pressed part and tightly sealed against the leakage. The flexible envelope is used to make from the natural rubbers, synthetic rubbers, plastic, thin metal foils, and any other flexible element which can change its shape and size, or get or which can change its shape and size whenever external pressures of water, air, or oil are used. Um, yeah, the flexible envelope should possess the following characteristics. It should be flexible, and this is most important one. It must be completely impervious to the pressurizing fluid. It should not break, it should not tear up. It should be easily scaled. The component can be easily extracted from the flexible mold envelope. It must be rigid enough to withstand the internal pressure, because in certain cases very high pressures are employed so that we can compact the powder. Some of the advantages of cold isostatic pressing are: uniform and high density compaction can be achieved, higher dimensional accuracy, near net shape product. Net shape product means the exact dimensions which are desired can be obtained from the component. Better mechanical properties like ductility, strength, hardness, and so on. More complex geometrical shapes can be made. Higher grain strength, absence of lubrication, and reduced friction. Basically, cold compaction is used for the powders which are little bit ductile enough, and after cold compaction, sintering is evident or required so that we can produce the hard component out of a produced sample. Next one is hot isostatic pressing. Hot isostatic pressing is a compacting process where high temperature and pressure is applied simultaneously from all the directions to produce the dense component. The presence of the pressure is uniform in all directions. At high temperatures, the hermetic container deforms plastically, and the powder is compacted within it under pressure. No further sintering process is needed in hot pressing process because the combination of heat and pressure during the process will partially sinter the component, or in certain cases fully sintering is done in this process itself. Metal or gas is used to make the hermetic container. The pressurizing medium is a gas. Basically, we can use argon or helium with a pressure of around 100 to 200 megapascals at a temperatures of around 2000 to 200 degrees centigrade. Hot isostatic pressing is combining the compaction and sintering process in powder metallurgy production process. So it will sometimes eliminate separate sintering process. Advantages include little or no porosity because melting of the powder takes place. The void spaces are filled up by these spaces by the melted component itself. Better surface finish can be attained. Near net shape product. Just now we had discussed this. Improvements in mechanical and physical properties, fatigue, surface finish, and reliability of the component. Faster delivery because separate sintering is not carried out like cold, unlike cold isostatic pressing. More uniform strength can be obtained because of sintering process. Less pressure required. In certain cases, less pressure is required because partial pressure is taken compensated by the temperatures itself. Disadvantages of this process are it is very expensive and protective environment is needed. Next process is in powder shaping technique is injection molding. We are well aware of injection molding technique which we have already discussed in um, in this one, that is powder processing techniques, where pallets of polymers are used in the hopper, where the extrusion process is carried out with the help of screws. So similarly like that, here in injection molding, the pallets can be replaced by the metallic powders itself, and those metallic powders are poured into the hopper. I'm referring as powders because in certain cases alloys of powder are also used. So in combination with the different elements, so that combination of powder is passed to through the screw. Uh, Usually, the screw transfers the powder into split mold. One end of that mold is connected to the nozzle end of the nozzle of the injection molding system. Another end, another end of split mold is movable, which can be removed after production of the component. So in this case, when screws rotate in a particular direction, the powder is extracted from the hopper and is transferred at high pressure into the cavity of the split mold. So whenever powder is transferred, the screws will rotate till it attains a higher amount of pressure of a compaction in the split mold itself. So after production of the component, due to smaller amounts of compaction, the component will be stable. The second mold of split mold is removed. The ejector pins are used to remove the produced component from the split mold, and it is taken to the sintering process. The components produced by injection molding process are compulsory to be sintered because they do not hold a particular strength. Next process in powder shaping technique is powder extrusion. This kind of extrusion process is again similar to polymer extrusion, where we will be using a pellet or a charge which is maintained at higher temperature because to maintain flexibility of the movement. So that red color which you can see here can be termed as a billet or a charge in polymer processing or metallic processing, where extrusion of the component is to be carried out. So similarly, powder extrusion is also possible by the same process. This is a procedure of metal powder compaction or semi-products manufactured by processing or possibly by pre-sintering in a continuous strand. The process can be carried out at a normal or elevated temperature. Elevated temperatures are nothing but sintering temperatures. In this case of extrusion, pressing at room temperature, a mixture of powder and plastifier is pressed through a nozzle into rods or tubular forms. The plastificator is an additive, usually an organic substance like wax, synthetic resin, etc., which is added to metal powders in order to form a plastic material suitable for forming process. Because the particles have interparticle friction, so if that creates a problem, there will be less extrusion even though we maintain high pressure. The extrusion technology is used for all materials which can be processed using powder metallurgy procedures. These are cemented carbides, high temperature materials with high hardness, and especially technical ceramics. Uh, the process of extrusion is at higher temperature is similar to compact material processing. An initial material is in the form of pre-compressed or pre-sintered material to avoid oxidation and contamination from extrusion process. Lubricants, the materials can be canned to a container of a mild steel plate. This method allows reaching high density for such materials which have oxide coatings by reason of high affinity for oxygen. Therefore, they are difficult to sinter. For instance, aluminum, magnesium, titanium, high-speed steels, etc. Extrusion pressing of sintered materials such as high-speed steels or super alloys where almost porousness structure can be achieved, or of sintered materials dispersion hardened by oxides is very effective. The used cans oxide during the process, so they are removed from the compact by stripping or possibly by chemical etching. Basically, this kind of powder extrusion is used in certain cases where a long uniform shaped components are to be produced. So we have two kinds of extrusion here, that is direct extrusion and indirect extrusion. Advantages of direct as well as indirect extrusion we had discussed in polymer processing techniques itself. so we will not discuss them once again. Next process in powder shaping techniques is slip casting. The word casting you are aware of is basically used to mold a particular clay in a required shape and size. So the process can also be used here itself by slight modification. Here, a slip is a suspension of metal or a combination of alloy powder in water or other liable liquid which is poured into an absorbent. The absorbent can be of plaster of Paris or in certain cases clay. Mold of clay can also be used. This mold is dried and subsequently sintered. Slips are usually made up of the constituent powders, a dispersing agent to stabilize the powder against colloidal forces, a solvent to control the slip viscosity and facilitate casting, a binder for given green strength to the cast shape, and plasticizers for the movement of the powder particles easily throughout the mold are used to modify the properties of the binder. These ingredients interact especially in their competition for binder sites on the powder surface. For this reason, the order of addition of components and their mixing time are also important variable of making the slip. The formation of an appropriate and consistent slip is important for successful slip casting process by using powder metallurgy. This is usually achieved by maintaining a proper control of particle size and size distribution, addition of proper deflo- uh, deflocurant, which prevents the settling of aggregation of powder particles and maintains the desirable viscosity of the slip. Mostly water is added as a suspending medium, but absolute alcohol in other organic liquids may also be employed. So alcohol evaporates at a faster rate in comparison with water. So again the time of production will be very much less, but the controlled environment should be there so that we can use alcohol for casting process. Other additives that are used are lignites, a combination of ammonium, sodium salts, of alginic acids. Because they serve the threefold functions of defloccutant, suspension agent, and binding agent to improve green strength of the compaction. The slip to cast is taken in the form of a suspension of metal powder in a suspended medium. The slip should have a low viscosity so that it can be readily poured. It should be stable during standing and have a low rate of setting. The slip cast shape mold be readily removable from the mold. It should have low shrinkage or drying and high strength after drying. Metal powders may be slip cast into desirable shape using a porous mold prepared from plaster of Paris. The mold has a negative shape of the article to be cast. The different steps of slip casting mm, are shown in the diagram itself. First, a mold is prepared, uh, and in that cavity is produced. So, uh, a particular powder is prepared with additives in the form of a slurry. This slurry is added into the mold. The mold is rotated in all directions so that uniform dispersion of the powder particles should be there throughout the inside of mold. After that, additional amount of slurry is drained out. You can see in the diagram itself. So after draining, the mold is kept for a certain duration of time where additives such as alcohol should vanish and binders should bind uh, with the powder particles, metallic powder particles. After that, the mold is scraped out by using a cutter, and the remaining particle will be the component produced. So this is about slip casting. The last process in powder shaping techniques is tape. Like slurry casting, this is also a process of the slurry casting itself is used to produce the thin flat sheets of a particular thickness. The process is also called as the doctor blade process because uh, it uses a blade. The distance between the edge of that blade and thin film determines the thickness of that sheet. The major steps are the formation of the metal or alloy of metal slip, drying and drying and trimming. This process consists of preparing dispersion of metal or alloy powder in a suitable solvent with the addition of a dispersing agent to improve the dispersion of the particles. After a satisfactory dispersion is achieved, a binder is added and the whole mixture is fed into the reservoir. The slurry is then fed into a moving carrier film from the bottom of the reservoir, which is being extracted from the roll itself. A powder slurry is deposited on the carrier film, which is coated with the lithium lithium to avoid sticking of slurry on the tape. The carrier film is by the shearing action of the doctor blade. It is important that the slurry be free of air bubbles as it may lead to porosity in the strips itself, affecting the properties. Du- During sintering, the binder is burnt off first, and as the temperature increases, densification of metal occurs. So by this we can produce the component by tape casting method. So by this we will be ending today's class. Thank you.